and that's it, you know. So yeah, I'm going good today. But no, this is really good. If I don't get to thank you now, thank you guys for doing this.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. I'm glad for our conversation.
And he came to me all excited about this. I'm like, yes.
We were talking at work,
nice
and I don't even know how it even came up.
It's Senate Bill 368. That's what you've seen.
And this is what we need to do. We need to have this kind of venue, not just the Freedom Wagon, but people that have radio stations, to get this out.
Well, and it's like I was talking to Rob and Robert this morning. Is I was at the gun show yesterday.
I was there too yesterday.
It was packed.
It was crazy.
But and so they're like-minded people. But for the majority, they didn't know what's going on in our legislature. They did not know about a lot of these bills.
Not for as much people that were there.
Exactly, and I went to go look at see if I needed any new toys or whatever. And I spent most of my day educating people on some of this stuff, which is cool. That's what I'm here for. That's what I want to do.
2 years ago, I did that very thing. We set up a booth at the gun show. One of the things we were talking about was the gun show loophole. And I'm sitting here going,
That's
okay,
another term
well, let's go look
around.
at this. Let's get some truth behind it. And, of course, we were educating the hell out of people. It was great.
Educate, not regulate.
Amen.
Right.
So.
Well, and I was always been for education. If you educate people and they can make, we give the people the ability to make the decision instead of doing it for them. And that's what's happening. Is a lot of decisions are made by just a very few people.
Sure.
That's that's the same way you look at America versus Russia. That's two people deciding our fate. And that's wild. And we could all sit up here and cry about it all day long. I ain't got shit to do with Russia.
Yeah. Well, you look at Russia and the United States. I'm talking about the socialism
I was going to talk to you about
so
that
at one point,
because I've already
Russia,
got
the government was giving these people
that.
great health care. They were feeding them, paying for their houses, doing all this stuff. As that money runs out, they start getting less and less and less and less and less, and they're living on the streets. They're in poverty, but the people up top are living in beautiful homes with jacuzzis and all this fancy stuff, and they're deciding for everybody below them, a handful of people. Everybody needs to have their input, good, bad, or indifferent. And like for me, I don't know it all, and I don't preach to that I know it all. And because I'm passionate about one thing and somebody else may not be, let's meet in the middle and find what's going to be the best. Not say my way or the highway, but let's all get together and find out what is the best, what is going to actually impact the problem.
Yeah, I'm just concerned,
Yes, again on
as
this
far as the economic thing goes. How many people are
Saturday around 23rd, 0800 in the morning.
Because of the tax base.
Oh, a lot.
I mean, come on, they put this stuff into law.
I just read the Albuquerque Journal article this morning about a young man that's leaving our state because of this, and he can't survive here. He's going to Texas. There's a gun owner here in New Mexico that just says, you know what, I can't take it anymore. I'm closing my shop. It's for rent. See you guys later. I'm going to Arizona.
I've got a good friend that runs the Roto-Rooter down south in Doniana who's flat out said he's already secured another location. He's out.
And a good way to judge this is people laugh, okay? Go to the U-Haul places where they rent U-Haul trucks. Ask them how many U-Haul trucks are getting returned and how many are going out. It's a 10 to 1. 10 are going out and 1's coming in. Where does that say as our state as a whole?
Okay, so we'll come back with the economic side of this.
Next show.
Next show.
Mike's live. YouTube has always been live. All right, Albuquerque's Old School and today's R&B 99.9 The Beat. We are back with the American Patriots of New Mexico. I said that smooth, didn't I?
Yes, sir. You did.
Here's
way better than we do, that's for sure.
In association with Live from the Freedom Wagon. Could be like a voice guy or something like that. No, I don't
need
want
to record you do a voiceover.
We don't do that.
Right.
Yeah, I have to pay
That's
somebody.
our intro.
We're right now we're live on YouTube. So, because I didn't know if I could do it, and I hit the button and it said yes, and as long as that red light's on, you're live. Hey, we were discussing the economic impact. We was talking about U-Haul. So, this is what I want to do in our last break. I want to give everybody a chance to say what you want to say. And I will say this to the general public: this station is a voice of the community, and I've always wanted to reiterate that we do things for the community. and the station does not take any. It cannot take a position because it's machines. You know what I'm saying? But we're all individuals. We all have our positions on anything and everything. And so, if you are a senator or a legislator, you want to come back in and talk about it on your side, or we can have a roundtable discussion. We can all sit in the same room. We can set that up, and we can go live both on the internet as well as on the radio, and allow you to do those things. One of my biggest things is we do what we do so that the people are educated. I always believe in educating the people so that the decisions that you make are yours and not somebody else's. And so, who wants to start first? But I do want to start where we left off. But of course, we're live on YouTube. Where we're talking about the economic impact. We don't have to say, maybe what it is, but a lot of more business owners, right?
And you talk about the economic impact and some of these laws that are coming. Some of these bills or some of the legislation that could potentially become law in our state. New Mexico, we're the land of enchantment. It's a great place. Any which way you go in our state, there's something to do. We're rich in heritage. There's a lot of, New Mexico could potentially be one of the greatest places in the nation, but yet you have people right now packing up and moving out. It was just in the Albuquerque Journal. I think it was this morning or yesterday's article. A young man talked about how he can't drive here in New Mexico. He's moving to Texas. Business owner, gun store owner says, "You know what? I can't do it anymore here. I can't do my business here. Building's up for rent. I'm taking my business with me, but the building's up for rent. Have a nice day." You hear a lot of citizens, "You know what? I can't take this anymore. I'm packing up my house and I'm moving my family away." Or you have people that came here to retire and live peacefully. They don't really have a whole lot of baggage. They're just, "You know what? See you later. I'm going to go somewhere else where it's a lot easier to survive." And we got a lot. There are people coming into our state, but there's a lot of people going out of our state as well. And New Mexico, we're 49th in everything. We're last in everything good and number one in everything bad. But we need to fix that. And we have the right people in the right places to do that. We need to come together and get it done.
Yeah.
Now that's coming from a law enforcement professional.
Yes.
One of the things that I said when I ran for office is that a lot of the things that they're chasing now have a root problem, and the root problem in this state naturally is drugs.
Yes.
And if we're not going to fight the drug problem and help people, and when I say drug problem, I'm talking about people who could have been doctors and lawyers and had a back pain and have taken themselves not only out of their practice and out of their businesses, but has put them on the street and has turned some of them into criminals.
Well, New Mexico has a huge opioid problem on the prescription side, and that opens up, when they can't get the opioids or the prescription drugs anymore, they seem to methamphetamine, heroin, different things like that. Well, why New Mexico? New Mexico is a major pipeline for the drug trade. You got Interstate 40 running east and west from both sides of the border, and we are constantly picking up pounds and pounds of dope coming in from the borders through our port of entries that eventually make it to the other place in the states. Just the other day, my guys picked up 8 pounds of methamphetamine in a trunk of a car on its way to Tulsa, Oklahoma. The citizens came from Oklahoma City, flew to California, met a guy in a parking lot, picked up a car, they gave him money and said, "Drive this to Tulsa." 8 pounds of meth in the trunk.
They didn't know, or?
Well, I'm sure they knew what they were doing,
but
I
was going to say, that's a lot of...
we're not... there's a lot of things that we... And I said it, there's a lot of people holding good positions in our state. There's a lot of people with good intention in our state. We got the right people in the right places. We just need to apply ourselves well and really make New Mexico a great state. You'll see a lot of the problems come from the drugs and different things like that. And you see people that if they... I look at California, the guy that dug a tunnel and had a shooting range underneath his house. One of the California deputies said, "Hey, if he thought half as hard how to be good versus bad, he probably would have been a very, really, really productive member of society." Well, that's where we're at. If you thought half as hard about doing things right versus wrong and apply yourself that way, you could be a successful individual. But instead, you know, hey, how can I get my next fix? Well, I'm going to go break into somebody's house and steal their gun and go pilferage it on the street to get my next high, and that's where we're at. And New Mexico is a violent place, by no means. I'm not trying to downplay that. It is a violent place. We do have a problem with the criminal element, and a lot of that is repeat offenders.
Yes,
I
agree.
see a lot of repeat offenders in my profession. The revolving
It's
door.
a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
Now that's that was a law. That was a bill that was placed on out to vote, but it was buried. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It was masked, and we all voted for it because they said the primary thing was you as an
Bail Bond
individual,
Reform Act.
right? and it was to save one thing, but it took you down in many other places. And so when people are upset about that, I say this to them: when you're upset about it, if you see, including bond issues, you know, geo bonds and things like that for certain things, we have that happening in our district right now, where the people assume that they voted for money to fix a community center, but the city had left an opening in it to be able to take that money and do something different with it. Now, had that been put in there, then people probably would have said something different. I'm not going to vote for it. So I tell people, look, if you don't understand it, you can't get something clear. It's up to you whether you vote for it or not, because it could be good and it could be bad. But that is a choice that you have to make.
I'm glad you brought that up, because there's a very important piece of legislation, since we're talking about drugs and the problem and different things like that. There's a very important piece of legislation that's going to go to the state capitol, and that is the decriminalization of small amounts of drugs. Well, I'm sorry, I believe that, you know, you start small, you just keep escalating.
Yeah.
So if you get away with it now, when there's a small amount, well, guess what? You're gonna keep escalating until you get that hard punch that catches your attention. Some of us are hard learners, and some of us are easier learners, you know. So really think about that. Look at that law. Look at that piece of legislation. Think about the impact that it's going to have on our communities, as well as the legalization of marijuana. You know, a recreational marijuana. A lot of people have a lot of different opinions on that. You know, me personally, alcohol's a problem in our state, and we're about to throw another problem in the mix.
Yeah.
That could be an issue with us. And I see the positive side for the medical side, and I see where they're coming at revenue from the legalization of it. But again, is our state ready for that? I mean, are we ready for that? Knowing the opioid crisis that we have, the alcohol problem that we have, the criminal problem that we have, do we want to throw another match into our fire right now? I don't know if New Mexico's ready for that. But that's important that we, as the voting public, we as citizens, look at what some of these legislations that's going through do. Educate yourself on them. Back to the bail bond reform. We all voted for it. We thought it was a great thing. Even the Sheriff's Association got behind this and supported it. When we all got, now that we see the impact that it's having on us, that's not what we voted for. That's not what we wanted. But again, that's going to take a constitutional amendment to revert that. And so that's when I said earlier, be careful of the laws that we enact now. Pay attention to that legislation.
Yeah.
Let's fix it. Let's get it right. Because after it becomes law, it's a little harder to change.
Okay, now let me throw another wrench in here. You know, and I'm sure you know sheriffs on the border parts of the state, and so there's the issue with the wall, and then you got one side saying, "I want the wall." We go to the wall, and you have the other one saying, "We don't want to fund the wall, but we want to fund you with other tools," which would be like your drones and having more officers. You know, I don't want to put you on the spot. You don't have to answer that one, but you know, I'm sure everybody has an opinion on that. I'm a guy that my daytime job, I do surveillance systems, home integration, things like that. And I've been to places that were secured like Fort Knox. We still got in.
Yeah.
But if they had the ability to look ahead, it's like driving and only looking at the car right in front of you, instead of looking up a few cars up and noticing when you see brake lights, heavy brake lights in front of you, don't wait for the car right there in front of you to do it, because you're going to smash into them. And so, you know, and everybody's, like I said, they got their opinion. I look at it from the perspective of, we have walls? Yes, we do. Do we need some in some places? We probably do. I would not want to take a landowner and split his land and take some of his land away from him that he's probably raising cattle on. In those areas, maybe you know, you could see a middle ground on that. If you say, well, in these areas, maybe we do the drones, or we put more law enforcement on the ground,
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm not afraid to answer that. I hold, like I said, I hold an executive position with the Western State Sheriff's Association. That's the 13 Western states. Border issues are a huge topic with us right now. We've been to the southern border of New Mexico and worked with the Border Patrol agents and took tours of it. We've been to the Arizona side with Cochise County, with Sheriff Daniels over on that side. We went in tunnels and came up in the New Mexico side. There's a lot of things that we have seen. We've seen the cartels, the violence on the border with the cartels. I've seen it firsthand. I can speak to it. I've been on the southern border. I've seen what goes on in Santa Teresa. I've seen what goes on in Luna County. I've seen what goes on in Hidalgo County. You know, I've seen it firsthand, and I agree with you. Is the wall the right answer? I don't know. But do we need to strengthen our borders? Yes, we do. How we do it, I don't have the answer for that. Whether it's more boots on the ground law enforcement, whether it's drones, helicopters, things like that, we really need to do that. But I think part of the problem too is you know, we need immigration reform. We need people to come into our country legally because we are a nation of immigrants, you know. But there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. If you make it easier to do it the right way, that's the way people are going to follow. There's a huge problem with border crossings. Now, not everybody has the same intent. Not everybody's a cartel member. Not everybody's a gang member. Not everybody's a drug dealer. There are true asylum seekers in there. However, when we talk about asylum seekers coming into our country just wanting help, and by us stopping them at the border, we're violating their constitutional rights. I'm sorry, I still believe that when you come into our country illegal, you don't have a constitutional right. You're breaking the law. There is a process set in place that you need to follow, and that's where we need to stick to. Whether it's boots on ground to enforce it, whether it's barriers or barricades or fixing our current fencing system, however it may be, you know, those are issues that need to be addressed, and one particular element of that may not fit a geographical area or say a city or a town or whatever. But you know, I've been over, for instance, in Arizona when we were over on the Cochise County side. There are ranchers over there that can't even pull into their garages nose forward like we do here. They have to back in because there's people waiting to run inside their garage and hide as soon as they open the doors to steal their car, break in their homes, do different things. There's ranchers that have game cameras that they focus on their properties. They focus on some of the water tanks. There's not just not Mexican nationals over there. You got people from other countries armed with assault weapons and different things like that from other countries that are out there. So it's not just there's people from all over the nation, different countries that are coming across our borders. Look at back at 9/11. Some of the people that were in those attacks had New Mexico ID cards. That's how we got to the Real ID Act. You know, so it's a problem that we need to address, and I think if we fix it and make it easier and have some type of reform, people are going to do it the right way.
I've got one comment on that. And, you know, with any problem that happens in society, the first thing to do is to acknowledge there is a problem.
Yes.
We have a current governor that goes down there, tours the port of entry, and says, everything's fine here. That's a problem right itself. You know, at least Sheriff Mace is trying to say, look, you know,
Clark, who's down there proving that there is a problem.
Yeah, exactly. There's other folks that are down there saying, look, there is a problem, and the people, they don't know what to think one way or the other, and it causes a huge divide. When really the people need to be unified on what's going on and work together to put a solution together.
Yes, I think education is key. I mean, if there's something you don't understand, you don't know, just ask questions, do the research, find the right information. You know, communication is key. There's tons of resources. You know, it can start off in basic conversation. You know, there's tons of tools, there's tons of groups, resources like yourselves, you know, that can educate if people wanted to, you know, do some research and find out more information. So if anybody wanted to contact you guys or reach out to you guys, how could they do so? If they had any questions, you know, concerns, comments, how could they do that?
As far as American Patriot New Mexico goes and Live on the Freedom Wagon, we're mainly based on Facebook.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how. I'm really not about putting out my phone number on
Yeah,
the air,
no,
but I mean,
it's fine.
Right,
You can just give out.
I'm not
I
gonna
can tell you what
accept
happens when you do
10,000.
that.
my wife will be upset.
Look up Robert Whitman 3.
He said Robert Whitman 3, and that's on
That's
Facebook.
my Patriot page.
And that's
Yes.
his Patriot page.
So the New Mexico Sheriff's Association has a website, nmsa.com. That's the New Mexico Sheriff's Association. A lot of people can find me on social media. I have a personal site, and I also have a sheriff one. I keep my sheriff one very professional. That is, as far as issues that are in Sonora
Right.
County,
Oh, yeah.
not legislative, different things like that. If you have questions for me, private message me, whatever.
There you
If you want to get a hold of me as the president of the New Mexico Sheriff's Association, go through that website. We have an executive director. If you want to get a hold of me, I noticed the YouTube thing and you're in another state and you want to get a hold of me, you can find me on the Western State Sheriff's Association website there with contact information as well. And so I'm stuck in the battle on two different things. I'm stuck on a state level and congressional. Not stuck. I should say I love it because
Yeah.
I'm involved in both sides on a state level and a congressional level. And we have the sheriffs across the United States have the attention and have the voice to really make a lot of this stuff. Bring light to a lot of this stuff. And again, you know, you said educate people, get involved.
Yes.
New Mexico, the land of enchantment. I love it. It's my home. Born and raised here. I left. I served a couple years in the Marine Corps. Traveled the country. Came back home. Simplify. You know, but we have in New Mexico. We have people that care. We have the people in the right places that care. We have a high education base here. Let's get people involved. And how do we do that? We put our personal differences aside and be compassionate and courteous to each other,
Yes.
and sit down at the table and discuss these issues. You know, just because we may not agree doesn't make us enemies. Let's come together and let's figure out a way to make these things that are going to be best for our community and get back to the land of enchantment.
Awesome. Wonderful said, guys. Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah, I've got one more thing to put
Okay.
out there. You want to bring it up, or
I
No,
go.
I was
You go,
talking
Eric.
about the rally on that.
that's where I was going with
Yes.
Oh
this.
no, how about it?
So, American Patriots New Mexico through Robert Whitman has been contacted as far as doing a rally at the Roundhouse for our Second Amendment rights. It's going to be
the battle or the rally at the Capitol last year.
yeah. We did a rally at the Capitol last year about this, where we got a little over 300 people there at the Roundhouse. Now, some people say, "Well, that's not like a march on Washington." Well, you know, for this area, as far rural as we are, that was a pretty good turnout. We're hoping to double or triple that this year, especially with the legislation coming on hand. So February 23rd, starting at
8 o'clock in the morning.
8 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be up there. You're encouraged to bring your long guns as not a show of force, but a show of solidarity with each other. Show to let everybody know, look, this is the Second Amendment. I'm observing my rights, and we're not a threat to people. In fact, there was one of the things we were going to do. I don't know if you want to tell them about this, but one of the things we do on the Freedom Wagon post is we try to do a lot of fun stuff too, and some of it's firearm related. One thing I've got here sitting in my lap is I've got a lower machined AR-15 lower. Okay, it can be used in multiple applications. One of the things we're doing, because I enjoy the hell out of building them, they're fun for me, is we're going to be putting this together for a giveaway. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to put it together. We're going to basically hold a drawing for it.
Hold a drawing.
And when that happens and the winner comes up, they then go to a brick and mortar FFL, run the background check so that they are 100% legal, and they have got now the ability to exercise their Second Amendment rights as God intended through the U.S. Constitution.
And we're also going to pay for that FFL.
Yes, we are.
Wow.
This is no cost to the receiver.
Now,
okay.
Now, what is this right? I mean,
This right here. Okay, here. Can I?
That's
I'm
the
going
plat-
to open
yeah,
this. Okay.
That's the platform for the AR.
Okay. This is
That's the beginning.
the low receiver platform for an AR-15. This is the demonized gun that everybody's like, oh my God, it's so, you know, this is what it is. This is the only part of the firearm that's serial. Okay.
okay.
This is what you need to go for an FFL background check when you're doing a retail purchase, or as it sits right now, two consenting adults can get together. If they want to do a background check, they can. If they don't, that's fine. We are trying to be on the up and up on this because we believe in the Second Amendment. We believe in the Constitution and all 27 amendments that went with it. This particular portion is just, I don't know, spread the love.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So,
Everybody loves an AR.
Yeah, and it was just something we were doing, and I said to myself, we could do this. We could just give away a lower and let somebody build it however they want. Then we started talking about, it's a lot of fun to get together and, do this together. All right, well, we could put it together and go, here you go, And I encourage people to come on out. Even if you don't own a firearm and you support the Constitution, come on out. We're going to be there. Fingers crossed, we're going to have the Freedom Wagon there, actually broadcasting from there, which would be
awesome.
So, but yeah, I mean, if you have long guns and want to bring them, it's long arm friendly. I do advise no tack gear. This is not a
No
Meal
tack
Team
gear.
6
No.
thing.
Regular.
As you see how I'm dressed right now, for those in Radio Land, I'm in jeans, t-shirt, and boots.
There you
Okay.
go.
No, like a
Regular-
normal citizen.
Regular
Yeah,
attire
exactly.
then.
And
Exactly.
that's the message we're trying to get across, is that normal citizens have these and safely have them.
Rob,
Yeah.
I want to input something on what
Yes,
you
sir.
said there about, we're going to take this to a bricks and mortar FFL and
Yes.
do a transfer on it and stuff like that.
Yes.
In our legislation, we have the background check gun show loophole bill as well. It's important that some of the deal on this legislation is that people are purchasing firearms without going through FFL dealers and stuff like that at gun shows. I visited our gun show yesterday that's going on today. There are more people in there with computers and laptops doing background checks as we speak for purchases of weapons and making sure that they're not in the wrong hands. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with this piece. And that's what's currently happening in our state. And you do not have, they're going to paint this picture that people are just going out and snatching up weapons illegally without going through a background check. That's not taking place. Responsible citizens are not going to put themselves in a compromisable position. If I don't know you and I'm going to sell you a firearm, we're going to go down to an FFL and we're going to do that transfer. But and that's what's happening in our gun shows. The stigmata of going and buying a gun from a trunk of a car in a gun show is not happening.
It's not.
Because responsible gun owners realize the attack on our Second Amendment and our constitutional rights, and we're not letting that happen anymore. We're being cognizant of our surroundings and what's going on. And that gun show loophole is just gun show loophole is a term that is used loosely, and this is a perfect example. When this weapon is put together and raffled off and the winner receives it, it will be done through a bricks and mortar FFL to make sure that that person can legitimately own and possess that weapon.
And it's going to come with a lock.
And
Yes,
it's going to come
and a
with the
trigger
gun
lock.
lock.
Who's providing that
Alright,
lock?
guys.
Safety first.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming in.
Hey,
Yes.
thank you for
Hey,
having
no,
us.
thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Seriously, that's we got to thank 99.9 The Beat
Yeah, thank you
FM
guys.
for
Thank you so
hosting
much.
us and helping us get the message out.
Hey,
Yeah.
and when you decide to run again, get a hold of us. We'll put you out there. I'd love to interview you for it. At least
right.
let the
Seriously,
people know what's
seriously.
going on. I'm dead serious.
Awesome. Thank
So,
you so much.
Can I shout out the
Yes.
Facebook? If
All
you're
right.
interested in getting involved, go to our Facebook page, American Patriots of New Mexico. If you want to get involved with the group, there is a link to the recruitment page. So feel free to send it along. And
Get on there, answer the questions.
Absolutely. And there's a few questions sent to the admin, and we will go from there. So,
American Patriots of New Mexico.
American Patriots
And
of
we
New
do
Mexico.
a lot of community service work as well. We're into helping our community.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear. Thank you, guys.
thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
Fellas, thank you, and hang out because we're going to talk about some other things off camera because it might be off color when I say it. So, anyways, hey,
Okay, my camera's off.
We respect those that have to be driving, listening, or streaming us here in Albuquerque, around the state, and around the world. We're going to get right back to the music and let you enjoy it. And you can feel free to go back to our Facebook. It's Facebook, the Beat ABQ. You can find us there, and you can replay the videos we have. Also, look us up on YouTube for 99 The Beat, and you can see this last video there. I was just trying it. I was just doing something. I'm playing it because you know what? Because y'all was
It's Sunday.
yeah, you guys was going some places I ain't been yet. So it was more of a learning thing for me, as it was for a lot of people out there. And so again, if you are a state legislator, if you are a city councilor, mayor, what have you, and you want to say what your position is on this and how you feel about it, we welcome you to come back. And if you feel like even a round table discussion. And like the guys were saying, I see everybody being pretty civil, you know, because he's drinking some kind of drink, got CoQ10 in it.
Good time.
It's called Bang. Wow.
Bang.
That's a heck of a drink. You know, mine's is called Red Bull.
The drink of your sheriff.
All right, we're going to jump to the next hour, man. We're going to get back to the music. Hey, we are Albuquerque's Old School, and today's R&B 99.9.
The beats.
That's fun.
Nice, nice.